In his next rebirth, the husband was born as the son of a fairly well-off family. His wife was reborn as the daughter of the king of Benares. One day, the young man wanted to attend a festival.
"Mother, please give me our finest cloth so that I can attend the festival."
"Here, my son."
"Mother, this cloth's quality is not fine enough. Please give me something better."
"Son, this is our best. We do not have anything better."
"If that is so, I will take my leave and find a place where I can get finer cloth."
"If I could wish it so, I would wish for you to own all of Benares today. Good luck, my son." And so, the young man made his way to Benares. Once he got there, he was tired and laid down to rest on a stone slab in the king's garden. What the young man didn't know was that the king of Benares had died 7 days prior. The king had no male heirs, and the advisors could not agree on whom to appoint. The advisors decided to rely on fate, and so they made an offering to the gods and prayed.
"May the royal carriage be allowed to run free, and may it stop in front of our next king."
The horses ran until they encountered the young man sleeping on the stone slab.
"You have been chosen to be our next king. Where is the current king?" "He has passed away." "What about his children?" "He only had one daughter." "Then I will accept."
The young man was appointed as the new king and married the king's daughter. As one of his wedding presents, he was given a valuable fine cloth worth 100,000 crores.
"What is this?" "This is a piece of our finest cloth, your majesty." "This cloth is not fine enough. Is there no cloth that is finer?" "My lord, in all the world, there is no cloth that is finer than this." "That is unacceptable. I will find a way to acquire cloth finer than this. Bring me a golden water receptacle."
The king then washed his hands and rinsed his mouth. He took the water into his hands and threw it to the east. Instantly, 8 wishing trees began to grow. He did this in all of the cardinal directions, and in total, 32 wishing trees began to fully sprout. The king wished for the finest cloth in all the world, and his wish was granted. He used one to clothe himself, and another one to cover his shoulders. Then he stepped into the carriage and headed back to the palace and was officially crowned. Many years later, the queen observed all the royal possessions and said, "Husband, you are the king of the world and own all that can be owned. You must have created great merit in the past with great Buddhas. That is why you have so much abundance in this life. However, in this life, you've created no great merit that will yield great fruit in a future life."
"With whom would you have me create merit? I have not encountered any moral beings."
"My lord, I believe that there must be Arahants in our world. If you prepare suitable offerings, I will find a way to bring them here." The king had great offerings prepared and placed them in front of the eastern gate. The queen woke up early and undertook the Uposatha Sila. She then made her way to the top of the eastern tower, faced the east, and made an Adhitthana. If there are any Arahants in this direction, may they please come to our palace and receive our offerings, so that we may generate wholesome merit. Unfortunately, there were no Arahants in that direction. The offerings were then distributed amongst the poor and destitute. The next day, the king prepared new offerings and had them sent to the southern gate. The queen climbed the southern tower and faced south and made her aspiration. However, there were no Arahants in that direction. The next day, the king prepared new offerings and had them sent to the western gate. The queen climbed the western tower and faced west and made her aspiration. However, there were no Arahants in that direction. Finally, the king had offerings prepared and placed them in front of the northern gate. The queen climbed the northern tower and faced north and made her aspiration. Panchika Buddhas are self-awakened Arahants who do not teach or create a religion. The Paruma Panchika Buddha, who was the brother of 500 Panchika Buddhas, was residing in the Himalaya mountains to the north. He invited his brothers to accept the queen's invitation. They all flew to the northern gate and landed gracefully where the offerings were prepared. The king was informed,
My king, 500 Panchika Buddhas have arrived at the northern gate.
The king was ecstatic and rushed to the northern gate along with the queen. There, they made grand offerings to all the Panchika Buddhas. Afterwards, they invited the Panchika Buddhas into the royal garden, and the king and queen bowed at their feet and said, O precious beings, lights of the world, may we be so humble to request that you reside in our royal garden for the remainder of our lives, so that we may have the opportunity to continuously make great merit that will lead to benefit in this life and our future rebirths. The Panchika Buddhas accepted their invitation, and the garden was converted to a proper residence for them. Many years later, there was some unrest in the outskirts of the kingdom. The king set out with the army to quell the unrest, and asked the queen to continue to look after the Panchika Buddhas. The next day, without anyone's knowledge, all the Panchika Buddhas peacefully entered final Nibbana. That morning, the queen woke up early and began to prepare the daily flowers and offerings for the Panchika Buddhas. When she saw that they had not arrived at the usual time, she sent servants to invite them, and that is when they learned of the Panchika Buddha's passings. The queen saw to the funeral arrangements and had grand stupas built to house the relics of the Panchika Buddhas. When the king returned from quelling the unrest, the first thing he did was ask the queen about the well-being of the Panchika Buddhas.
What is this? Even Panchika Buddhas are not free from death. Then what about normal beings like us?
The king did not enter the city and went straight to the royal garden. There, he had his oldest son summoned and gave the kingdom to him. The king shaved his head and ordained, and lived the rest of his life in the royal garden as an ascetic. The queen also shaved her head and lived as an ascetic in the royal garden until the end of her life. At the end of their lives, both the king and queen were reborn in the Brahma realm. What did you learn from this story? Let us know in the comments. We hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you did, and click subscribe if you want to see our uploads. And consider making a donation to support our Buddhist animation project.